I didn't think I'd be putting out this commentary today, but I like to follow up on things I'm interested in, and I've been interested in this woman's case for quite some time since I saw the unedited footage of her demise on World Star Hip Hop. Yes, this is Shanquella Robinson, and I found out a little while ago that the U.S. government will not be pressing charges. They'll not bring any kind of charges, despite that evidence in this case and whatnot. And they have a bunch of word salad to explain why they don't give a shit about basically black people and shit. But for this purpose, all intents and purposes, lightning will strike and shit. They don't care about no fucking black women. Okay, they don't care about this woman. She was openly murdered. All right, but if you see somebody like, well, I think her name was Natalie Holloway or something. She disappeared over there overseas on some vacation and shit, and they was trying to move heaven and earth for her, and making all these news specials for her fucking, her parents and shit, and implore like anybody that knew anything, and then they still, the one guy that was with her, she just disappeared. They still ride his ass in infamy with no evidence. And here you have a woman who was murdered on camera and shit by some asshole, some effeminate sounding motherfuckers filming this shit, telling her to fight when it's obviously she looks like she's been drugged or she's drunk, and she's got a big hand beast, punching her. Anyway, know the deal. I want to get into it. I'm gonna get excited, but yeah, the Biden administration, their Department of Justice, there, that they appointed, they are not filing charges. They're not doing it. Okay, they don't give a fuck. Okay, this should show you who you are on the world stage and whatnot. And I didn't vote for the motherfucker. Okay, I didn't vote for Joe Biden because he was full of shit. And he was just blatant with his, who he really is. And a lot of people just ignore that. A lot of black people ignore that shit because they're scared. They're scared to face the truth and shit. We have no friends on this planet and shit. Specifically, and i.e. us here in the colonies and shit. It's not a victim fucking narrative and shit. It's a matter of fucking fact. Okay? This woman is going to join Emmett Till. Okay? In a long list, a too long list of people that have been brutally murdered and had no justice despite glaring evidence. All right? Glaring evidence and, people's accounts, firsthand accounts and shit. And they're not going to extradite those people over to Mexico to face charges of femicide and shit. And it is not believed that the Mexican government will file paperwork to be able to come over here and extradite these people, to their country to charge them for her murder. So her family is left with their thumb up their ass and shit. And Benjamin Crump with his hand in their face. He probably still wants his money. Okay, what is Benjamin Crump gonna do? He ain't gonna do shit. He gonna go chase another ambulance. He waiting for the next death so he can attach himself to that and rug sweep and shit, okay? And what is the moral of the story and shit, okay, black people? I'll tell you what the moral of the story is and shit, despite my status here on YouTube and shit. Well, sometimes good people deserve to have their faith rewarded, okay? It's 2023. They call this the future. I call it an Orwellian society and shit. And in the Orwellian society, we occupy a very specific place in it. If you know the book I'm referring to, okay, we are known as proletariats. Okay, the bottom of the barrel and shit, with more freedoms than most. All right, if you believe it. Freedom in our own ignorance and infantilization and shit, okay? Engineered, by the way, socially engineered. And I'm just not going to haggle with any assholes about this case or anything, or why a misogynist like myself, a misogynist anarchist, would be interested in this. I just didn't like the way the circumstances of her death and how she was taken out and shit, okay? I don't know who she was in life or anything. Never will. But I know that it was not fair to have like 6 or 7 other motherfuckers, beat you down, trap you and be so cowardly as to remove her clothing. Okay, she was buck naked as the day she was born when she was murdered. And it's all on camera and shit. And the U.S. government ain't gonna do shit about that. But next year in 2024, they want you to come out and vote for them and shit, okay? They want you to vote. And you remember Joe Okay, you remember Jim Crow Joe in 2024, okay? You remember him and Kamala and shit. You remember all those Democratic fucks. You remember the Congressional Black Caucus. You remember all these black people. You remember even that idiot they got over there in Tennessee with the Afro wig on, pretending like he's Martin Luther King. You remember these people and shit, and you move accordingly and shit, okay? And as far as those people that are getting away with murder and everything, like I say, sometimes street justice is a motherfucker, okay? Just my thoughts, just my candid thoughts. I just would, I think it'll be 100 years or more backwards to see, people attacked by a mob. All right, I'm not saying anything, not suggesting anything. I just think it would be a shame for street justice to do its thing and shit in the lieu of, the failure of the state and federal government to address the plights or the needs of its constituents to a fault, and right before an election year too. Okay, so you guys remember, black people hearing my voice, you remember that in next year, Joe Biden and his whole, Joe Biden, the Democratic institution and shit, is not a political party. The Democratic institution, the jackass party, is going to be looking for your fucking vote. Okay? They're going to want you to vote for them and shit. After all the shady shit that's been going on for the last fucking 4 years. Okay? Ever since he got in there, he's been showing his ass and shit. And going out his way to show black people they ain't shit. And just running over us and just doing, just saying fuck us and shit. But then they need your vote. Okay? And don't you worry about that asshole in Florida that wants to run for president or any of these other pricks and shit. I said let it burn last time, but a lot of people didn't fucking believe. Let's see what you're gonna do this time, okay? All right? See what you're gonna do. Anyway, that being said, this is making me sick and shit. I'm fucking angry. I'm gonna say for the first time, I'm gonna say Shanquella Robinson, rest in power.
The rage.
Oh yeah? Yo, why is that, G?
Of the races, they say we act like rats in a cage. I tried to argue, but check it. Every night in the news, we prove them suckers right, and I got the blues.
America.
Get busy, Humpty.
The red, the white, the blue, and the blue and the red for Crips and Bloods, the white for who's got you doing time. Busting caps on one another.
The underground's down for peace among brothers.
Kill a black man.
What?
Yo, what are you retarded?
Tell them, Humpty.
Yo, do you work for the Klan?
Do what you like.
Unless you like gang banging. Let's see how many brothers leave us hanging.
This message has been paid for by the Dusties. Yes, the niggas you love to hate.